Let's get more on this now with Bernard Zuel, who's a music journalist. He joins us live now from Sydney, Australia. Good to have you with us, Bernard. This is a huge loss for the music world. Tell us more about the legacy that Tina Turner leaves behind.
Well, a personal legacy of influence and advice that she provided to several generations of singers who came after her. She was known for being open and supportive of younger artists. A musical legacy is significant. As a performer, her legacy is significant as well. I mean, you mentioned the Grammy Awards and the sales, but she also was someone who created a style of performer which a lot of people emulated but never could quite match, that of the physically exciting and yet powerful singer. So she could dance, she could sing, she was incredible on stage, and at all times nailed the songs. Not something that's easy to do.
No, that's right. And to go with that, her personal story was one that really captivated a lot of her supporters. She was in a very abusive relationship with her former husband, Ike Turner. What role did her personal life have to play in terms of really endearing herself to her music fans and the public at large?
Well, I think once people came to understand just how tough her life had been from the very start. I mean, she grew up in a very poor family. Her family was split. She spent a lot of her childhood with her grandparents, I think it was. Very poor. She had few prospects coming out of small town Tennessee, and yet found a way to get on stage and convince people to give her an opportunity. And then, of course, the damage that physical and emotional that she received in her marriage. When all that information came out, it added depth to what we knew of her and to what we felt about her in her singing. But it also amplified the messages that were coming through in her hits of the 80s, which at first just seemed like songs of a woman taking control of her life and of a woman who felt and had experienced something. But once her biography came out and the full story emerged, those songs were seen in a new light. So it became it added depth to a story which was already a significant one, just as a singer who had a second career in her 40s.
And Bernard, Tina Turner also paved the way for many of the popular black female artists that we see today, didn't she?
She did. I mean, she was the first black woman to appear on the cover of Rolling Stone in the late 60s. And Rolling Stone in the late 60s, in fact, most of the 70s into the 80s, was not a magazine that treated women particularly well or treated black people particularly well. They were a very white, rock-centric magazine, though they were the most significant music magazine in America. But she appeared on the cover and broke some ground with that. She also became the kind of artist who consistently crossed over from R&B to pop to mainstream radio in the 80s. I mean, her hits in the 80s were big pop hits. They weren't consigned to the R&B charts, secondary charts for radio. She was a dominant force, and so she broke ground that a number of artists were able to follow in because she just did it. She managed to survive, managed to push through, and then managed to achieve. So as an example, she was significant for that. But the fact that she broke through and made it possible for people to say on white-centric radio and TV and publications, it's okay to feature a strong black woman was a very important step.
Sure was. Bernard Zuel, we'll have to leave it there. But thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us here on TRT World. Pleasure.